company is ESPN, and we chose to take a look at their strategy and what we could do better as a company, and what we're doing right as a company, and look at what is there any new strategy that we can implement and how that looks like for our company.
So first we wanted to talk about the business model, and it's fairly complex, but it's broken down into several pieces. So the CVP, that's the customer value proposition, that's what we're working towards, right? Is driving our value, providing it to our customer, meeting their needs. And so there's several pieces of it. There's the profit formula, which essentially is a list of formulas that help you understand where you're driving most of your profit, where you're driving your revenue, and then how you can maximize on that, right? And then the key resources and processes. So key resources, that's going to be the people you hire. That's going to be your technology. So these are things that you have a lot of tangible control over. The key processes, right? Those are going to be your processes. That's going to be how you do things. That's going to be your hiring, your training, and ultimately maximizing on your resources. And those resources and processes, they work together, again, to drive up that customer value.
And then we took a look at strategic fit. So we saw the profit formula, we saw how it worked, but there's three aspects to this, and that's consistency, reinforcing, and optimizing. And they're pretty self-explanatory, but consistency for ESPN is just making sure all of our different channels remain consistent and that they're all communicating the same message and they all fit in line with our business model. And reinforcing is like all the various things that ESPN does, like the app, social media, live broadcasting, ESPN Plus, they all reinforce each other to do well. So none of them are contradicting each other or communicating a different message that would not reinforce each other. So this consistency builds on the reinforcing, and then ultimately the last one is optimizing. And so once you're consistent, once they're all reinforcing each other, you want to make sure that they're doing it in an efficient manner and that they are ultimately optimized and the best they can be. So these three things are different aspects, but they all kind of build on each other as you look at the three of them.
And then as we continued this idea of thinking, we wanted to look at our factors, right? So our internalities and our externalities. So these internal things are things that we have a lot more control over. So this includes intellectual property, right? So things that our brand, our logo, the way that we do things. Then our equipment. So that's going to be how we film, what we film, and how we get it out there, right? And then our brand. It's one of our strongest points of our company. So ESPN, they're known for their brand, they're known for entertainment, they're known for sports. And so we really wanted to capitalize on that. And then furthering that idea is how we get it out there, right? So that's our distribution channels. So how can we work our channels to where our customers get the streaming that they want, they get the exact games that they want when they want it, right? And then another thing that we looked at was the externalities, right? So things that we don't have as much control over, but it doesn't mean that we can't take advantage of them where we can, right? So social. So what's going on in society? What are the problems? What are the hot topics? Not just how we can address them, but which ones should we not address? Which ones are going to hurt our brand? Which ones are going to drive our brand? So understanding that process and how we can use that. So technology. There are so many advancements coming on right now with audio-visual reality, with AI. How can we understand that and work with it in order to provide our customers with gameplays, with understanding, and this plays into the sports betting too, right? So that's been a huge piece of it. But then also looking at the legal side of things, right? And so these are new policies that are put in place. This is any kind of litigation that might restrict our business. How can we still operate within the legality of it and still, continue to provide our customers with a good product? Then we want to look at the environment, right? So this is focused on CSR, so corporate social responsibility. How can we help promote a sustainable environment? How can this extend our brand with it already being so established?
And then, so we categorize these aspects into three different sectors. So there's critical, strategic, and enabling. And so the critical factors that we chose are key to ESPN because they really drive the business. So these four that we chose are distribution channels, innovation, brand, and social. And we chose these because ESPN really capitalizes off of these aspects. And the fact that the distribution channels I'd say is the most important for ESPN because of the various avenues that they choose to, especially with their social media presence recently. With the rise of social media, ESPN has capitalized off that. I believe they're like the most followed business on TikTok, or sports business on TikTok, I remember reading. So they're using this to, like I mentioned earlier, reinforce their live TV or their ESPN Plus or their app. So they definitely have used that, and the innovation also ties into that, as we'll mention later, that these things kind of have relationships and they help reinforce each other, but we'll dive into that a little bit later. And then the strategic and enabling, these are also factors, but they're not the core factors that really are key to ESPN's daily business.
So again, looking at our company, what this means, how we can create a strategy, we want to look at the SWOT analysis. So that's going to be your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So looking at these inner quadrant correlations, we want to look at things that are positively and negatively correlated. So two things that are positively correlated, this is going to be our distribution channels and our marketing. Those go hand in hand because how we market our product is how we're going to send it out to our customers. So that just makes sense that those two would be positively correlated. On the other hand, negatively correlated items that we address is going to be the economical and the social. And while these do focus on key social issues, it can go against each other. And so we have to figure out how can we meet our customers' needs, how can we hear from our customer, and understand both the economic impacts and the social impacts, and navigate that, because that can be very difficult to navigate.
And then we looked at the cross-quadrant relationships. So technology is actually one that kind of addresses a lot of different aspects that we mentioned, but specifically they reinforce distribution channels, innovation and equipment. So if we're able to increase our technology and focus on that, we are able to actually help a lot of the aspects on the SWOT analysis. And the technology is such a key thing because technology is used in so many different aspects. You can't really do business without researching new technology. If you're not researching new technology, you're going to fall behind. So this is a key cross quadrant because it kind of goes, you don't have the graph pulled up, but it goes all around and it connects to a lot of different things on the graph. But the next one we have is legal, and legal can negatively impact your intellectual property due to the regulations. That's one thing we kind of looked at. ESPN does have a very strong brand, and that has to do with intellectual property, but we noticed that they don't have a lot of other items of intellectual property that are super recognizable when it comes to outside of their like ESPN. So we thought that legal could have a negative impact when it comes to like, I don't know, different sports teams and legal battles that could probably come along with the sports team's intellectual property and the regulations that go around with that.
Then we wanted to take a look at a competitor. And so specifically this looks like a competitor within the class. So this was another group that did Disney. And while ESPN is owned by Disney, they're similar in the entertainment aspect, right? And so we wanted to see how we can capitalize on what Disney already does so well so that we can continue to extend our brand. So one thing that Disney does really well is they have that opportunity for social engagement. There's not a lot of that with ESPN because so much of it is live streamed, because so much of it you can enjoy right from the comfort of your home. They also have, again, a tangible brand representation. This is an experience that you can have in person. So as we're looking at these strategies and saying, okay, what does ESPN do well now and what can they extend upon, we took a look at this and thought that they can continue to enhance their brand image by offering in-person experiences.
And after looking at Disney, we took a little bit more of a deeper look at the balanced scorecard for ESPN, and we looked at, I'm not going to go into the details when it comes to this, but we looked at their financial, their customer, their learning and growth, and internal business processes. Overall, for financial, we want to see how we can increase revenue and market share, and for the customer, we want to widen our market and see where we can maybe reach a new market and increase the customer satisfaction. And learning and growth, we want to expand our brand, and ultimately it kind of comes down to HR too, is how can we be hiring and who can we be hiring, can we be promoting, how does that all look when it comes to the hierarchy. And then the internal business processes, we want to increase our marketing and into new audience and the distribution channels. channels that go on with that.
And so when we're looking at the strategy, we need to understand the two types of environments that we're dealing with here. So we're dealing with red ocean, which is an existing market, which also means existing competitors, right? So this would include things such as broadcasting rights, subscriber acquisitions, advertising, and then talent acquisition. So again, that red ocean, that's an already existing market. Blue ocean can use existing technology, but it's a new segment. And so it means something that a company hasn't done before or hasn't been done in the industry. And so what this would look like is we came up with 3 different kinds of ways and strategies that ESPN can offer in-person entertainment, right? That's one of the things that Disney does so well. So how can we use one of the things that our in-class competitor does so well to reach a different kind of audience? So we talked about ESPN museums, right? Kind of like a Hall of Fame kind of deal where we can offer different kinds of awards and showing like celebrities and the history with all of the entertainment of sports. We also looked at a summer camp. So this would create a brand recognition and a brand loyalty at a younger age, right? And then the last idea we had in mind was an ESPN sports bar. And Ethan's going to go into that a little bit more.
Yeah. So we decided on the sports bar, and we thought this would be the best option because it would create this in-person environment that would be able to be experienced tangibly like we saw in Disney's amusement parks. But it also feels like it's communicating the same image and brand that ESPN already is, so it feels like it would be the most consistent choice, and that would reinforce what they already do and honestly bring a different aspect to their business. So the first cities that we thought would be great to start out in is New York and Chicago, obviously because these are big cities, but also they have a lot of sports and big sports fans that would want to come watch the games there. And then also we'd be able to sell jerseys and memorabilia in the store, and honestly we'd be also able to create some ESPN merch and sell it there. So merchandising would be a new aspect that we could hopefully see how that works in the store and maybe move online if it does well. And then some of the aspects of the bar would be like a bunch of screens all around, comfortable seating, live scoreboards, interactive games. So we could have trivia nights, we could have, it could be kind of like a Dave & Buster's where there would be games where you could play, and then it's not just a bar scene, but like more of an interactive environment. We'd have surround sound lighting, stadium lighting, and then sports betting. This is, I think, a key aspect to what we thought of because we'd be able to bring in a lot more revenue than just a bar if we brought in sports betting to this situation. People already sports bet. It's a huge aspect of watching sports, especially for middle-aged men, which is ESPN's main target customer. But bringing this to our bar would incentivize people to want to spend more money, and it's an in-person environment, so it kind of brings a casino-like atmosphere, and ultimately I think that's where all the money would be, is if we could really find a way that this would work in person and create like a live betting in-person environment, and it would bring people would want to come here from all over the world because it would be a unique environment where people could bet in person. And then other things would be like darts, pool, miniature basketball, again, more interactive environment. But the last thing would be we could have celebrity appearances. So with ESPN's connections to the sports industry, we'd have different, maybe meet and greet times, or just like have celebrities pop in randomly. The athletes that people would want to come see. This would create the idea that this is a place that sports fans want to go to all over the world. Other cities that we thought of could be Nashville, LA, Miami, big cities like that where we'd get a lot of people that would want to come to the city, and when they're there, this is a destination they want to go to. But yeah, I think this would definitely create an environment where people would want to not only just come here if they're in the area, but go to these cities to go see, because it's a unique experience for sports fans. But yeah, after looking at everything, looking at what ESPN does well, we noticed that there's not really much room for improvement when it comes to their live TV and their app and their social media presence. But when taking a look at Disney and how they are able to have this reinforcing activity, which is the in-person, tangible relationship with their product and with their business, we thought that that would be something we could hopefully try to implement, not on the as big of a scale as the amusement parks, but these sports bars could be pretty large and create this relationship that's more tangible with ESPN. But yeah, do you have any questions?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Any advice for
Any
how we
advice?
present?
Is that the I thought this was the presentation.
This, yes, just for here on out. I mean, as we, go into our professional realm of experience, how can we improve?
I think you guys did a really good job. Maybe a little on the posture, not necessarily crossing the
Yeah.
hands or try to keep only one hand at a time in the pocket, maybe.
Okay.
But no, otherwise I think that you delivered well. There was eye contact. I didn't need the slides. You explained to me what I'm going to look at them
Okay.
since you sent them to me and just kind of see how you've changed them from last time that we were together. Yeah, if you were nervous, it didn't show. So I think you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
it. We appreciate you, with advising us and,
Yeah.
being our mentor throughout this. So it was a long project, but we appreciate